What's going on, everyone? Happy Monday. I hope you guys all enjoyed your weekend, but I'm going to go ahead and let you guys know exactly how it went for me day trading. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. And as you guys can see from the screen, it was a green day overall on my account. In terms of how I did day trading wise, I only did actively day trade ticker symbol TQQQ. And for any of you who don't know, I trade using $10,000 and I have a 1% daily goal, right? So today I was able to just hit that goal, making $104 on TQs. But I'm going to go ahead and walk you through my thought process and, why I did focus on TQs rather than SQs today, right? And so these are all my field orders. You guys can see I started trading at 6:30 right around market open, and I stopped at 11:13. So definitely traded for a lot longer than I normally do today, but I wasn't actively just sitting at my computer glued to the screen. What I really enjoyed about today was that I had open positions and set stop losses, so I didn't have to necessarily just be, staring at every single move that happened. And it really did benefit me when you guys, as you guys can't see on the chart, when it did start to get very choppy on the day, right? That's when it really just makes sense to set your alerts, set a stop loss, and just move on with your day. And so I'm just gonna go and explain my thought process right behind everything. And so on the larger time frames, what I did notice was that we were potentially validating a support that we did have on Friday, right? And just really last week, right? We were experiencing a form of support right around this area, around 15,000, call it 15,700, right? And we did push up and experience a resistance right around 15,850. And so in my eyes, right, what I did notice was that during the pre-market session, at least, we were consolidating and trading sideways, as you guys noticed, right? We weren't actively pushing up or actively selling off. We were more just trading sideways. And so in my eyes, I thought that once market opened, if we did start to validate a form of support and start to pick up, we did have all of this potential room to gap up until we experienced the previous resistance, right? And tested the previous resistance that we did have on Friday, right? And so it just made sense to me that if we did start to see higher highs and higher lows, and the market was really just acting bullish, that we could potentially, as I mentioned, right, gap up all of this, right? And that seemed attractive to me. As you guys can see, in a perfect world, that would have been, over slightly over 1% trade on the NASDAQ. But if you guys don't know, TQQQ is triple leverage. So that would have been 3 times that move, right? Or over a 3% move potential for profit. And so as soon as market opened, right, we did see the increase in volume, right? And we did start to push up. So that's why I decided to initially get into TQQQ, right? And as I did start to see this thing break resistance, I averaged up. But what ended up happening, this thing ended up pulling on back quite aggressively. And I didn't do a good job of managing my risk, right? This thing ended up pulling on back. I did cut half of my position here, but I did let this thing unfortunately run all the way down here. And so by the time it did end up pushing on down here, I went from being in the green to entering the red, right? A decent amount. So I was down about $60 to $80 on the day, right? And so I do have a daily, loss of, I try to give myself anywhere from being down $80 to $100, I'll call it, right? So I definitely was very close to stopping out on the day and being done. But ultimately, once this thing did end up breaking above the EMA and forming these higher highs and higher lows, right, I did ultimately end up getting back in or sizing back in with a half position size, right, or 50% position size, I should say, because I didn't feel too comfortable, right, with all this consolidation and all these pullbacks. Every single time would break above the EMA, we would end up breaking back below it, right? And so I wasn't too certain at this point which way direction was headed. So it's important that when you're not too sure which way, we're gonna head, that you're in with a light position size, or you're not even in at all, right? That would also be a perfectly smart move to just stay cash during these times. But I was risking it for the biscuit a little in that sense. And so as market did end up picking back up, right, it was definitely in my favor. But I did pull on back, right? I ended up giving some back, but ultimately on the day we did remain bullish the way I thought we would, right? And we continued to climb, and I was still in with half a position size, right? And so I did end up selling out a bit early, right? I sold out right around this area, as I did see it start to struggle as we tested this range. But we ultimately ended up blowing by it, right, and pulling on back before we continue to make a new push up on the day. And so, very impressive move that we did end up seeing. We actually did break above and form new 180-day highs, so that is, very exciting, but we are very overextended, right, to say the least. Just even on the bigger time frames, as I mentioned, right, we have previously gotten rejected around here. Doesn't mean we will have to, right? We actually did break above it. We just need to follow up with it and wait and see what actually ends up happening. But that's pretty much how I was able to walk away with a profit, right? I kept it simple. Once I saw this thing validate a support, and on the bigger time frames, right, we had potential to gap up. I wanted to not overcomplicate it, go with the flow, right? And I didn't want to necessarily be trading and sitting at my computer all day. So that's why I thought it was beneficial for me to not be in with too heavy of a position size and just set a stop loss, right, in case it did end up pulling on back. And so that's everything I did want to leave you guys and walk away with. Where there are going to be lots of earnings this week actually being reported. The main one I'm paying attention to is Tesla. On Wednesday after market hours, we'll be reporting earnings. So definitely looking forward to that, and we'll keep you guys up to date on what ends up actually happening with the stock, and how it actually ends up reacting, right? But that's pretty much everything. I will be posting a recap tomorrow, so I hope to see you guys then. Thank you guys so much for your time, and I hope you guys all have an amazing rest of your day. Take care.